In 1990, the purified water company, Perrier, that fizzy bottled water that you get from France, they had a problem. They discovered that there was benzene in their water. Now, benzene is a cancer-causing agent. And so that was a major problem for them. In fact, they had to recall 160 million bottles of water worldwide. It cost them over $30 million to take care of this problem. Then they had to figure out what was causing the problem. Was it the wells? Was there something wrong with the purified water, that it wasn't really pure, or was it something else? They discovered that some of their workers failed to change out some filters during the carbonation process. And these filters were filters that would weed out or filter out the benzene that was being produced through that process. Once they fixed that, everything was okay, but it cost them a lot of money. Now, you think about that. If you expect something to be pure and then it's not pure, that can create some major problems, especially in this situation. Jesus calls us to be pure. He said in Matthew chapter 5 in the Sermon on the Mount, "Blessed are the pure of heart, for they will see God." Well, what does that mean? How can we see God? Well, let me make a comparison between two groups of people, the disciples and the Pharisees. Now, the Pharisees were religious men. They were leaders in the Jewish community. They were people who sought after God, or at least that was what people would understand them to be doing. And yet, when they saw Jesus, they didn't see God at all. No, they listened to his speaking. They listened to what he had to say as he preached. They saw him heal the sick. They saw him give sight to the blind. They saw him cast out demons from people. They saw him raise the dead. And yet, they denied Jesus. In fact, they saw Jesus as an enemy. They sought ways to try to trip Jesus up and to actually get rid of him and kill him. They denied the power of God through the Holy Spirit. The Pharisees were men who, though they should be seeking God, really were not doing that. And it was because of their hearts. Jesus described them in this way. In Matthew 23, he said that they are full of this selfishness and this greed, even though on the outside they try to clean themselves up and look good. He says that they're like these whitewashed tombs in a cemetery. They look good on the outside, but inside they're full of dead men's bones and full of all of this uncleanness. The Pharisees did not have pure hearts. And as a result, when they saw Jesus, they couldn't see God, because that's not what they were looking for. The disciples, on the other hand, were a little bit different. They weren't perfect people. They were sinful. Jesus explains that they were sinful. But they also were people who struggled with their faith sometimes. Jesus called them on it a few times. There were times that they doubted Jesus, and yet they continued to listen to Jesus. They continued to seek him. They were just naive enough to believe that the miracles were real. And in watching those and in believing in that, and seeing him raise people that they even knew from the dead, they trusted his teaching as well. You see, the disciples continued to seek God through Jesus. And as a result, through time, their hearts were purified. The reality is that it's not about us bringing pure hearts to God in the sense that we have to clean ourselves up before we are able to see him. It's about bringing our hearts to God and continue to search for him so that he can clean our hearts, so he can purify our hearts, because we can't do that ourselves. Hebrews chapter 12 tells us that we should fix our eyes on Jesus, the author and perfecter of our faith. What the disciples did was they fixed their eyes on Jesus. And as they grew to learn from Jesus and grew to know Jesus, they began to see God more clearly. In 2 Corinthians chapter 3, we are told that as followers of Christ, we are being conformed into the image of Jesus on a daily basis. Now think about that. If we continue to seek God, if we continue to fix our eyes on Jesus and become to know God better, if we become more like Jesus on a daily basis, then we can be examples for others and help others who are seeking God to see him, to come to know him, and their hearts can be purified as well. My encouragement to you is to fix your eyes on Jesus. Continue to seek him, and in doing that, be a blessing to others. I hope that this is encouraging to you and that God will bless you as you continue to seek him.